Well, thank you so much for everybody for signing in. Yesterday I went to the Deloitte meeting venue there, and then NVIDIA was definitely there, and they were talking about the data center, and so it was an amazing meeting, and yeah, it was great. So today we have Daman Oberoi from NVIDIA's Inception Program, and Damon is master remover of roadblocks for startups. So we are expecting to hear great things from Damon today. And Damon has over 16 years of experience in spanning software development, program management, business development, and corporate mentorship. He began his career at Intel, where he spent 12 years managing teams, mentoring colleagues, and developing software. In addition to his corporate work, Damon also taught and mentors students in software engineering and career development. Currently, he's an NVIDIA's Inception Partner Manager, helping tech startups access cutting-edge AI tools and resources while removing obstacles to their growth. His expertise lies in fostering innovation, building positive work culture, and supporting startup success. So with that, I give you Daman Oberoi.
Thank you. Thank you for that very kind introduction.
Okay.
I would like to share the Inception deck. I think I need to be given share
Oh,
privileges.
oh, okay, there we go.
There we go. All right. So I'll spend a little bit of time here talking through the Inception deck. And the Inception program, obviously. So the Inception program is a global program. We've got 22,000 members and growing rapidly all the time. I swear, every time I give this presentation, I manually update that number. I literally updated it this morning from 21,000 to 22,000 because we really are changing and growing that quickly. We have over 100 countries represented, and as you can see there, the program continues to actually grow faster every year. The program itself I think technically it started in like 2017. It's gone through a few different incarnations. And so I would say its latest incarnation is really just about a year old. But for the most part, it's a very established program at this point. So here are some of the logos. Obviously, there's not 22,000 logos here, but these are just some of the current or former members of the program. Hopefully, some names that you recognize there, perhaps Canva over here. They're in alphabetical order. So Canva over here, Hugging Face, of course, is huge in the developer space, and several others here. And like I said, just a handful of the many, many, many companies that we work with. And so, Jin, do you want to allow time and space for questions during, or will we just address them all afterwards?
It depends on you. I guess
Okay.
people can type in their questions in the chat box, and we
Okay.
can always ask as it goes. Yes, thank
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I think it's always relevant. I don't mind being interrupted at all. I think it's always relevant to talk about the questions for the slides that they relate to.
you.
So feel free to interrupt me with any questions. And there aren't that many slides actually to talk through. This is the meatiest slide, the slide that I'll spend the most time on here. And that's because it really describes sort of end to end what the Inception program is all about. So at a high level, actually, let me give a big umbrella here. The whole point of Inception is to help startups you either get onto or to more effectively use NVIDIA tools, NVIDIA SDKs, and be able to accelerate your products. So that's what our whole purpose is really to enable developers, to enable startups. And actually, one of the questions that we often get as we pitch Inception to startups is, what's in it for NVIDIA? Like, why are you giving me all this stuff? Like, what do you get out of it, right? And really, NVIDIA's philosophy is that we partner with everyone. We don't think of anyone, quite honestly, and I know this is hard to believe, but we really don't believe anyone is our competitor. We're really trying to enable and to partner with everyone. And in the end, if you're using our tools, you're using our SDKs, then you're buying GPUs or the cloud is buying GPUs, right? So if you're not even buying our hardware directly, but you're on AWS or you're on Google Cloud or any other platform, those people have to buy more GPUs and more of our hardware. So in the end, NVIDIA wins by either directly or indirectly selling our hardware and our software. And so that's really what it's all about. But to you, to the individual small startup, it may not be a direct, you may not see directly how NVIDIA is winning from this, but really the whole point is enable all startups. Our startups will have these great products that run on NVIDIA hardware and software, and that grows the entire ecosystem. So that's the big play here. So back to the slide, the specifics of the benefits that you get by joining Inception, being active in Inception. And it really starts with, like I said, the innovation part. What we're really looking to do is make sure that you are aware of the tools that we offer and that you know how to use them. So we have several free self-paced courses that you can take. These are courses that are all about our software offerings. So you can come in and learn about how to build a chatbot, for instance. I think there's a course called like Build a Chatbot in 10 minutes. You can start there. Or if you wanted to come in and figure out how to use our cybersecurity software called Morpheus, or any number one of our, more than 150 SDKs, as you see in the second column there. A lot of those SDKs have self-paced courses that are associated with them. Another really common one that I really enjoyed when I took it was for Triton, which is our inference serving software. And so that's a great self-paced course as well. And those courses can range from like an hour to half a day or whatever it is, but they're really great courses to get in there hands-on and learn how to use our tools. We also have instructor-led workshops. At this point, most of these are virtual, but sometimes they're in person as well, especially if you get a group setting together or group together, you can get an in-person training, and you get a 50% discount on the instructor-led workshops, virtual or in person. Uh, there are also AMAs that happen. There are special events, technical sessions that happen. I'll say I'm actually going to headquarters today for an event tomorrow for specific to our Inception members, and connecting with Mayfield, which is a venture capital firm. And that's actually in the third column. I'll get to that in just a minute. But these are the special type of events that happen that aren't always listed, and they're sort of ad hoc or like just come up as opportunities arise. And so a lot of times companies will come in or startups will think about joining Inception. They'll be like, I don't know, like, what's my commitment? Is it going to take a lot of time and effort? And like, I really got to focus on building my product, building my company. And what I always tell startups is, hey, we are here as a resource for you. You can sit dormant in the program for as long as you like, with a small caveat. I'll get to that too. But you can basically sit dormant in the program and just be like, hey, now I'm ready. I'm ready for your help. I'm ready to attend events. I'm ready to participate, to network, to do all the things. There's no such commitment. We don't need to see you doing things in order to stay in the program. It's not cohort based, so you're not going to go through a bunch of activities and then graduate and be kicked out after 6 months or a year or something like that. That's not how we operate. We really are a support program, a resource that's always available to you in the background whenever you're ready for it. And so it's quite common for companies to come in and sometimes companies will come in and immediately take advantage of some of these benefits, and then they go quiet for a while, maybe a quarter, maybe half a year, maybe a year or longer, and don't really do anything because they're just, busy toiling away in the background, don't really feel like they need our help at the time. And that's totally fine. We have no problems with that. And then they'll pop up, 2 years later and be like, hey, we're ready now. We need this help. We need direction to these courses, or we need connections to the VC community, or we need this, or we need that. And then we're happy to help you at that time. So don't at all think that this is a drag in any way. We're really just here to be available and help you out when we can. So moving on to the second column there, the next piece is, like I said, access to our 150 plus SDKs. Quite honestly, you have access to all those SDKs, whether you're in Inception or not. What you get as being in part of Inception is greater support on those SDKs. So you can often get connected to a developer relations specialist. You can get somebody like me, perhaps, to facilitate you to remove those roadblocks, as I say in my LinkedIn title. That's part of what the extra benefit of joining Inception is. We also offer cloud credits through our cloud partners at the moment, within the US at least, US and Canada, well, globally, I should say, our offerings are on AWS and Google Cloud. And then we have some regional offerings as well. And I don't have all those memorized off the top of my head. I know there's some Europe-specific offerings. There may be some Asia-specific offerings, but globally we have AWS and GCP. Um, and on AWS, you can get up to $100,000 in credits. And on GCP, it's as much as $350,000. And quite transparently, those credits come from those cloud providers. NVIDIA is not providing them directly. We're not paying for them. They're coming from the cloud providers. They, of course, hope that they get you on their platform and keep you on their platform. That's the whole point of it. But NVIDIA is sort of a front end. We vet, we make sure that you are a valid startup. We uh, basically give you this validity on behalf of the cloud providers saying like, yep, they're a valid startup. They've joined our program. We think that they are deserving of these credits. And then, of course, NVIDIA's purpose or NVIDIA's value, I should say, in this is that we hope and expect, quite honestly, that you are using these cloud credits for NVIDIA technologies. So we can't stop you, but we don't want you to go to AWS, for instance, and just use the credits for storage. That's not what our interest is. We want you to go to AWS and use the latest and greatest GPU to run your software or to run your program, to run your product. We want you to use Triton, which I said earlier is NVIDIA's inference software. We want you to use NeMo or TensorRT or Riva or any one of these SDKs. Our SDKs are all available on the clouds as well. And so we're hoping that you go to the cloud and use the credits for those purposes. So that's the value. That's why we have partnered with these cloud providers to provide these credits indirectly. You also get discounts on NVIDIA hardware and software. We have a very steep discount, and I'm quoting some discounts to you today. They have the potential to change quarterly. They have been pretty consistent over time, but every quarter there's a little bit of change in our hardware. We haven't really seen a lot of change on our software side because our software discounts are still relatively new, but there are some discounts. So I might quote a number today, and you might find something different when you actually go to take advantage of that, just because they can change quarterly. So just a caveat on that. But as it stands today, you get a 75% discount on our software by being an Inception member. So definitely a huge value right there alone. And then on our hardware, it really varies. Our hardware discounts, to be clear, are primarily on our data center products. So if you were looking to buy a GeForce product, for instance, a consumer product, we don't offer excuse me, we don't offer discounts through Inception for consumer products. It really is for the data center products like RTX, DGX, HGX, eventually Grace Blackwell when that comes out and so forth. So these heavy duty type of computing GPUs, that's where we offer the discounts. And generally speaking, the discount can range from like 15 to 30%, depends on the product, but it's a significant discount there as well. We do also offer discounts on Jetson. So that would be sort of the exclusion when it comes to like a lower end GPU is there's a Jetson SDK that you can get a discount on. Let's see, a couple of more things here in that second column. Engineering guidance, as I said, will connect you with a developer relations specialist. You can also get connected to a product support team, and so on. And then NVIDIA Launchpad is our sandbox that you can get on. You can start trying things out. Try before you buy. So if you're interested to see like, oh, hey, will this product run on an NVIDIA H100, for instance? Okay, we'll get in here. We can give you access to a single H100. You get somewhere between 3 and 7 days to try it out, and you can see if your product is running as you want on an H100. You can also get in there and try the various software products out. So we have things that are called hands-on labs that run on Launchpad, and they're essentially Jupyter notebooks that will walk you through that particular software or that particular use case. And so you can actually go to you can do a quick Google search. I don't know the URL off the top of my head, but if you do a Google search for NVIDIA Launchpad, the I'm sure the first link that comes up will take you right to that page, and you'll see the last time I checked, which has been a few months now, but last time I checked, there was over 60 hands-on labs, and they're specific to a given software package or SDK and a particular use case. And I know that there was one for like Morpheus, which is our cybersecurity software, fingerprinting. I know there's one for speech AI and using Riva, which is our speech SDK, and so on, right? So lots of different use cases there that you can get in and say, like, hey, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. How would I use NVIDIA software to enable that in my product? So the third column here is exposure to the VC community. I'll talk to that just a bit more on the next slide, and the VC Alliance. Um, the other items here really, so as you get to a particular size, as you get to a particular set of engagement with NVIDIA and our products, there are a slew of marketing and PR opportunities that become available to you. So, and really sort of anything that's on anything that you can think of in terms of marketing and PR is on the table for the right opportunities, for the startups that are, again, it's really, really important to be heavily engaged in NVIDIA's products. And quite honestly, there's a bit of size and market share that's involved, or that's required rather, to get certain marketing resources. So do we market the company that just started a couple months ago and has started using Triton? Do we market that company the same as one that has 100 million in funding and significant market share and is adopted NVIDIA SDKs? No, quite honestly, that's not going to be the same. So I want to make sure that I don't oversell what we are willing to do in that space. But for the right startups with the right engagements, we do a ton of marketing and a ton of PR. And that can involve things as simple as social amplification. So let's say like, hey, you've released something new and you're saying in your post that, hey, we're using Triton Inference Server and it has really made our inference process so much smoother or so much faster. Great. We love to share that. So, our NVIDIA, what is it called? NVIDIA for Startups. Our NVIDIA for Startups LinkedIn channel can reshare your post. So that's a very common thing we do. Another thing that we do pretty regularly is blog posts on the NVIDIA developer blog page. And so the developer blog page is developer.nvidia.com/blog, I believe. And we have hundreds, maybe thousands of blogs at this point. And what I love about that, and I've helped facilitate several of those blogs for my partners. What I love is that you get to author the blog. You get to write about your product. You get to write about how NVIDIA's tools helped you either develop it easier or made your product faster, made your pipeline better, whatever it is. But you get to write about your product and NVIDIA, and then you get the credit as the author as well on that blog post. But you get to host it, or the blog gets hosted on the NVIDIA's developer blog page, which means it's getting a ton of traction, a ton of visibility, just because it's on NVIDIA's site rather than your site, which maybe isn't getting quite as much traction as NVIDIA's page does. So it's really a great way, a great exposure opportunity for your company. Now, that said, it's a pretty heavy lift, right? It usually takes a minimum of 4 weeks, sometimes 6 to 8 weeks, to really go through that entire blog process from your initial sort of pitch to your draft to a bunch of editing rounds to going to our developer blog team and their editing to eventually posting it. So because it's such a heavy lift, we can't do a ton of them, and we have to be really, really particular about the value prop, both for the startup, of course, but also NVIDIA as well. So that's why we're quite selective on the developer blog opportunities, but it's really great when those come through. Let's see what else. We also do a bunch of events, either the hosted event, GTC, which I'll talk to a little bit more as well, but there's an opportunity for you to get invited to be in the Inception Pavilion, for instance, at GTC, or engage some other way. You can submit talks and have a chance to present at GTC. NVIDIA goes to a bunch of other major events, of course. We go to all the cloud events, AWS reInvent, Google Cloud Next, and so on and so forth. And we have a booth usually at all of those major cloud events. And we typically invite startups to be part of our booth. And the whole point is that NVIDIA's kind of like I said at the outset, NVIDIA's whole we actually call it paint the show floor green. That's actually our internal terminology to say like, hey, we yes, we of course show our own demos as well, but what we love even more than that is for our partners to show demos of how NVIDIA Tech is making their product better. And so we often reach out to Inception startups and say, hey, we're looking for 5 companies to join us at AWS reInvent. And as long as you're highlighting NVIDIA technology, you have a demo that looks cool and can explain how the NVIDIA tech is really making your product better, awesome. We want you to be part of our booth. And so again, you get great exposure coming in to this event. Sometimes you get invited for free. Sometimes there's a fee involved. But a lot of times, especially at something like AWS reInvent, we want to cover your booth costs at least, have you come in and show off how the NVIDIA tech is making your product better. So again, lots of these type of opportunities. We also have a podcast. So there's podcast episodes come out every week or so, I think. So often startups are featured on the podcast, and lots of other opportunities. Again, pretty much anything you can think of is at least on the table for marketing and PR exposure. Okay, so that's, like I said, spent most of my time on that slide there. This is the one I wanted to talk to a little bit more about, the Inception VC Alliance and our connection to VCs. This, of course, is just a handful, literally a handful of logos here, of the companies, the VCs that we work with. We actually have over 600 venture capital firms in our network, which we call VC Alliance, Inception VC Alliance. Um, and the whole idea is to have these partnerships with these VCs, and it's really two-way. So a lot of times these VCs will bring their partners, bring their portfolio companies to Inception or to NVIDIA to say like, hey, we love partnering with NVIDIA. We think the technology is great. There's no reason to not be in Inception. Like you should absolutely sign up. You should get connected with the Inception and the NVIDIA team and get help with developer relations and product and so forth. Because obviously it's a win-win for the VCs, right? They come in, they've got money in these portfolio companies, they connect them to NVIDIA. And NVIDIA helps make their product better, faster, cheaper. And that means that these companies are then selling and getting to market faster, and then getting the return on investment for the VCs. So it's definitely in the VC's best interest to have them connected with Inception and NVIDIA. Uh, and then on the flip side, when we have startups that maybe are looking for VC or looking for funding, we have this platform, and we call it the Inception Capital Connect. It is an opportunity for startups to submit their pitch decks. And then the VCs on the other end blindly get to view those pitch decks and say, hey, that pitch deck looked really interesting to me. I want to reach out and connect with that startup. So NVIDIA is not manually brokering any of these deals. In fact, we often don't find out until much, much later that something actually happened. But there are companies submitting their pitch decks all the time, and VCs viewing those pitch decks and then reaching out to startups to say like, hey, we want to learn more, or, and eventually, hopefully leading to some funding. So again, another really great opportunity, especially as you're looking for investment from venture capital. You can submit your pitch deck through the Inception Capital Connect, and it's just another one of the free benefits that come by joining Inception. So another way, so talking about marketing and PR, another benefit is what we call the NVIDIA Accelerated Applications Catalog. And really, it's any solution. So it doesn't have to be a application as such, or an app as it says here. I think the name recently changed to Accelerated Applications Catalog. It could be a service, it could be SaaS, it could be a platform as a service. Doesn't really matter. Really, it just means any product or any solution can be featured here on our applications catalog. We have robotics solutions here. So again, anything that's a solution that it has NVIDIA that NVIDIA is part of that solution. That's the only requirement. So either it's running on GPUs and or it's using some portion of our software stack. If it's what we call GPU accelerated, then it deserves a spot here on the catalog. Well, I should say if it's a GPU accelerated and it's shipping. So if it's still in development, then it won't get featured here until it is shipping. So what is this catalog? It's not, to be clear, it's not a marketplace. It's not a revenue share. It's nothing like that. This is really just a website. It's on NVIDIA's page, of course, NVIDIA's website, but it's just a page that has hundreds of applications from our partners that have built their application using NVIDIA tech. And so you get one of these tiles. You can see there, you can have your logo on there, the name of your product, and then there's this Learn More link. And when we click on that learn more link, there'll be a short description of what your product does, and then there'll be a link to your website. So that's all that this page is doing is inbound traffic to your website. Coming from NVIDIA's page. And then on your website, people can sign up, and do whatever that you want them to do on your website. So again, free PR, free marketing opportunity here. And you can have as many products listed here as you want. Like there are some companies that have 10 different products that are all just a little bit different, but that's what they offer, and they've got 10 different products listed here. No problem. Right? We love that. We love having more and more and more products listed here. So if you have a GPU accelerated product already, you should get into Inception and get your product listed here. And if you're working on a GPU accelerated product, then once it gets to the shipping state, when it's shipping with GPU acceleration, then you can get that listed here as well. So again, another free, easy opportunity. And the way you get on this page, it's just a super simple form, probably take you less than 5 minutes to fill out. Just talks about like what's your description, what are the workloads that you run on your product, what's the URL, of course, give us your logo, the color scheme you like for your company or your tile, and a few other questions like that. And then we process that form and you can be listed here within a couple of weeks. Okay, so how do you join Inception? Well, it's pretty simple. You can go to nvidia.com/inception is at the top of the slide here. It can take, I guess, 30 minutes. That's on the long end, 30 minutes to complete. Some people have done it in 10 minutes or less. You do have to have some, a fair bit of information about your company. You have to know, understand your product, because all that is going to be, understand your product, yes, but understand your, well, yes, your product and some of the technology that it's built on. So what NVIDIA GPUs are you using? Are you using in clouds, etc.? But the form is mostly about contact information. It includes what your mission is, who your competition is, who some of your key customers are, and so forth. So it definitely will take probably about 10 minutes, but maybe a bit longer than that. I want to highlight the list there at the bottom because this is really important for which startups are eligible for Inception. And for the most part, we say, look, if you're less than 10 years old and you're legally incorporated, you have a website, and you've got at least two people in the company, then you're eligible for Inception. There are a few exceptions to that. If you are a consulting company, so you're not building a product that you sell, we don't accept consulting companies into Inception. We have a sister program called Connect, NVIDIA Connect, and that does accept consulting companies. If you are a company that is just reselling GPUs, so you're kind of what we would call like a cloud provider, that you're renting out GPUs, and that's your sole or your primary business even. We also don't accept cloud providers into Inception. We have a separate cloud program that I could connect you with if it comes to that. But and then if you're doing anything crypto related, we also don't accept crypto into Inception or Connect. So those are a few of the exceptions. But otherwise, for the most part, you don't have to already be using GPUs. If you're intending, like if you ever come in and you're like, hey, I would love to incorporate AI, I would love to incorporate GPUs into my stack. I'm just not there yet, but I would like NVIDIA's help to get there. That's great. But that's, it's not a requirement to already be using NVIDIA tech in order to be in or to get accepted into Inception. So a few other things there. I won't read through all of them. You know, I already listed all the benefits that or many of the benefits that we have. The one expectation, you know, I said that we don't expect a lot from you. The one thing we would like you to do is please update your member profile every 6 months, just so that we know what the latest and greatest with you is, right? If you've raised some new funds or you've pivoted to a new product or a new mission, we want to know that because we have opportunities, like I said at the outset, there are ad hoc opportunities that come up all the time, and we look at we go through our database of 22,000 companies, and we say which companies are eligible based on what their product is, or what their mission is, or what their industry is, what their workloads are, what GPUs they're using, what cloud they're using. Like we have all these things that we ask you, or yeah, ask of you, sorry, in your member profile. And then we query off of those and we say, hey, we're looking for a company that I'll just give you an instance. It was a few weeks ago there we got contacted by a magazine, some technical magazine saying, hey, we'd love to feature some of your Inception startups. And we're going to be in San Francisco on this particular date. We'd love to meet any startups that are willing to come meet us. Like, okay, great. So what did I do, right? And what did the rest of my team do? We said who's located in San Francisco, so HQ in San Francisco, and has is using GPUs because we give our opportunities to the partners that are using our tech, of course. So who's using GPU? And then a couple of other criteria. I think there might have been a few other criteria there, but that's what we did. We just searched on those terms and said, "Hey, these are the ones that meet all these terms. Here you go." And we passed that along to my PR team, and then the PR team passed it on to the magazine author and so forth, right? So these are the just off the wall opportunities that come up as being part of Inception. So. That's the whole idea. We want you to update your profile. We've actually gated it now officially, where if your profile has not been updated in the last 6 months, you are not able to request any of the benefits that the program offers. Now, it's easy to fix that. If you come back a year later and you're like, I can't request benefits and I need these today. Okay, well, that's fine. Take 5 minutes, update your profile, and then that benefit button will become available to you. Okay, I still don't see anything else in the chat, so I will keep going here. Just a couple more slides, I believe. I want to put in a quick plug for the developer program. So so anybody can join the developer program, whether you're a developer or not, you can join the developer program. And this is, I sort of think of the developer program as Inception for developers, for individuals, right? So Inception really is for startups. It's really focused on the company and company benefits and company growth and so forth. The developer program is all about individual growth, individual development. And so you get a lot of the same type of benefits in terms of support on SDKs and APIs. You can get early access through the developer program. Marketing doesn't really make sense here so much, but you get a lot of the training opportunities. All that happens through the developer program. And we've got millions of participants in the developer program. And so even if your startup isn't eligible for Inception or isn't a good fit for Inception, or maybe you're just not at the stage where your startup can really benefit from the things that Inception has to offer, join the developer program in the meantime and really get all the benefits through here. I'll say one of the latest and greatest benefits that we offer through the developer program right now is a developer license to NIM. And NIM is NVIDIA's latest and greatest product. NIM stands for NVIDIA Inference Microservice. And it is what we're pushing to developers, to startups, to enterprise to say, hey, we have made inference so much easier. We've optimized it to the T for open source models. Right now, it's Llama 3.1 is our primary target. And we're just trying to make inference as fast and easy as possible. And so to get that for enterprise, you have to buy a license, and there's a cost per GPU to use NIM. We have some options there. We have a 90-day trial license for enterprises that want to use it in production, or anybody to use it in production. But if you're in the developer program, you can get free and limited access to the developer license to use it, to try it out, to develop with it and test with it until you put it in production. So that's a great benefit that there's no time limit, there's no any sort of other limitation to this NIM license to use and test out with. So highly recommend you join. It's developer.nvidia.com to join that. And again, that form should take you less than a minute. It basically is ask you for contact information and what your interest areas are, because you'll be added to the newsletter that will send you catered information about the areas of interest that you submit. And then I mentioned GTC briefly earlier. So GTC stands for GPU Technology Conference. This is the one conference well, I shouldn't say one anymore because we're doing something called AI Summit this year as well. But it's it's the marquee conference that NVIDIA hosts every year. And it will be in March in San Jose again this year, again next year, I should say, in 2025. And it really is a huge event that you can attend virtually, you can attend in person. Last year, I think we had 18,000 attendees, give or take, in person, and then many more online. I think Jensen's keynote, I don't remember the exact number for last year, but I do remember it was in the ballpark of 250,000 views of his keynote live and shortly thereafter, like within the week or two thereafter. So it's a very popular event. Highly recommend you attend. I expect to be there again in March of 2025. And so registrations, I don't know if registrations are open just yet, but they will be pretty dang soon. And highly recommend that you attend and participate. As a startup, as a developer, it doesn't matter. We welcome everybody, and it's just a great insight to what NVIDIA is building, what NVIDIA is offering at that time, but also, again, what our partners are doing and offering. This event highlights so many of our partners and what they've built with NVIDIA technology and what they're doing in the ecosystem. There are panels that are about the AI ecosystem at large. AI ethics is often featured here. Like, it just covers a huge range of technology topics. It's not just like an NVIDIA sales conference. That's not at all what it is. In fact, very deliberately, it is an NVIDIA, or not even NVIDIA, but it's a developer conference. And Jensen, our CEO, as you see there in the picture, he highlights that and stresses that every single time. He's like, this is a developer conference, so it's going to be developer focused topics and panels and discussions and talks and presentations and so forth. It is not a sales conference. So really want to emphasize that and encourage everyone that can to attend. I think that's it. So a couple of logos there if you want to, or a couple of QR codes rather, if you want to join Inception, you want to join the developer program, that's the way to do it. And then I am done.
Thank you so much, Damon.
Of course.
Okay, so I was wondering if there's any questions you're welcome to ask. And last time when we were doing the webinar for NYSERDA at Columbia, I was wondering about, we touched up on the AI aspect of it for the climate technology.
Mhm.
So if
Yep.
you can kind of highlight that for us today, that will be amazing. If you have any, NVIDIA's focus on the AI and then the climate tech.
Yeah. So NVIDIA, one of the major focus for NVIDIA is called Earth 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
And that really encompasses the program, what NVIDIA is working on for climate tech. We do have a presence at Climate, what is it? Climate Tech Week, in New
Yeah.
York. Climate, okay. Yeah, in New York this week, we have at least a couple of people. I know there's one or two people from my team specifically,
Mhm.
and then folks from larger NVIDIA are present there, probably presenting if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a huge focus for NVIDIA on climate tech. We have and really NVIDIA's focus on being green in general as a company, uh, ourselves and trying to be as green as we can, and then of course creating the tools for other companies to do the same. So, with Earth 2.0 specifically, I know one of the things that we are focused on is first a replica of the Earth, as granular and as specific as we can get that to be, and that uses a technology called Omniverse, NVIDIA Omniverse. So it's a 3D replica that we're trying to make of the Earth, and then we're also working on climate simulation models. And I'm not the climate expert on our team, so I can't speak to all the details. But generally, what I know is that I've heard and seen that our algorithms are like 100x faster than anything else that's in the market today, and that we've seen results that show not only at 100x faster, but also multiple times more accurate than the current, what's used by most folks in the climate prediction space today. So it's really, really important to NVIDIA. Obviously, predicting climate changes is challenging, is difficult, and requires a lot of compute to do well, to do quickly, to do accurately. And that's really what NVIDIA goes after. Our CEO, again, likes to say things like, NVIDIA pursues $0 billion businesses, which means that we like to go into a space that where people aren't doing the heavy lifting already, and go in there and do what other companies can't do. And so Jensen saw an opportunity here with climate tech and climate simulation to go in and say, hey, we think we can do this better than anyone else because we have the compute power, we have the engineers, we have the motivation to make this happen. And so NVIDIA is heavily driven in the climate space. I have a counterpart. His name is Zach. He's on the Inception team for US and Canada with alongside me. But his focus, one of his focus, I should say, is climate.
Oh,
And so he's definitely the expert in this space. And he works very closely with our Earth 2.0 program leader, who is Tanika. And that's her whole charter, right? Her whole charter is Earth 2.0. So those are two folks too that would be good to connect with.
okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just going back to the Inception program a little bit. So is there kind of like a I was like competition process, you would say? Or it's not really a competition. You can apply and get accepted if
Yeah,
the in Korea. So you can have
yeah.
like any possible, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's not a competition. It's not like, hey, we're accepting only, 10 members this month or anything like that. No, absolutely not.
Mhm.
Anybody that is eligible gets
Mhm.
accepted into Inception. So, just a little bit of insight into the vetting process. After you apply, right now we have about a 4 week backlog, sometimes a little bit longer, but about a 4 week backlog. So sometimes companies will apply and they'll be like, hey, why didn't I get in? It's been a day. Unfortunately, it's a manual process. We do review each application manually. And so right now we've got, like I said, about a 4 week backlog to accept new members into Inception.
Mhm.
But yeah, we accept probably, well, globally, we probably accept like 100 members a week. In the US, it's probably in the US sometimes it's even that many alone. But yeah, if you apply, we go through and we say like, hey, again, we check those things that I said earlier, which is, do you have a functioning website? Even if that website is just a landing page, at least you have a website. Um, do you give us two unique contacts, one who's a biz dev person, and one who is, or a business person, and one who's a developer? Do you, what was that all? Or are you privately held and less than 10 years old?
Mhm.
And then do you have a, legal incorporation? That's basically what we check. We go through and we make sure that you're not crypto related. We make sure that your website doesn't show or some other resources don't show that you are consulting only company, right? We just do some real basic checks to make sure that it's a valid application, a valid company, because we
Mhm.
do, I mean, everybody out there gets fraudulent applications and people just trying to get on and steal basically cloud credits or whatever. I don't know what their intent is, but we do get fraudulent applications that we do turn down.
Mhm.
And so that's why we have to do some of these basic checks just to make sure that you are a real company and that you have intention of using NVIDIA technology. Um, but yeah, absolutely. Anybody that applies that's eligible can be accepted. It's not a competition.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And do you, does NVIDIA ever have any kind of like internal capital that you want to deploy, you may want to deploy to those candidates who's
We
been
do.
selected? Yeah?
Yes,
You
yeah,
mentioned
exactly.
capital.
So,
Yeah.
so, so NVIDIA has two capital arms. So, of course, there's the Inception Capital Connect, which I talked about earlier, which is connecting you to VCs outside of NVIDIA. We
Mm-hmm.
also have two internal capital or two VC firms, if you will. So one is called InVentures,
Mm-hmm.
and they are really looking for first they're looking for ROI. So, how are they going to get the best return on investment? And then secondly, they look at alignment with NVIDIA strategies and technologies and things like that. But first and foremost, they look for ROI opportunities. Then we have the corporate strategic, we call them corp dev or corporate strategic development, I think is what they're officially called. And that's the arm of NVIDIA that looks for acquisition opportunities, perhaps, or just investment opportunities. And they're solely focused on strategic investments for NVIDIA that will help grow NVIDIA's
Mm-hmm.
footprint, NVIDIA's ecosystem. That's what they're looking for. ROI, of course, is important, but that's definitely a distant second. They really want to say like, oh, who makes sense for us to invest in
Mm-hmm.
from a NVIDIA footprint standpoint. Now that said, both of these companies are not they're not looking for seed investments. They're not looking for these very, very small, very, very early stage investments, which is often what we get in Inception. So there isn't always a one-to-one alignment. For both of those, Corp Dev and for InVentures, they're typically looking more for like Series B and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they'll go down to Series A. I don't think I've heard of anything prior to Series A. So it's really some more mature companies, companies that have already established themselves in the market, that have some recurring revenue, that have a mature product. Like that's really what both of these parts of NVIDIA are looking for. So if you're super early stage, it's definitely not going to be a fit, and even an introduction won't make sense. And on those introductions, quite frankly, do happen through somebody like me. So I'm in contact with both those teams, and they tell me what they're looking for, and then I say like, "Hey, this company is one of my partners. I think they'd be a great fit." And then I make well, usually what I do is I pass along a pitch deck to those teams first, and I say, "Hey, take a look at this pitch deck. Let me know if it actually does look interesting to you." And then if they say, "Yes, absolutely, we want to talk to that company," then I go ahead and facilitate those introductions. So I at least try to shield those parts of the company because they, of course, otherwise get a lot of requests that they can't handle, and that, quite frankly, aren't fair for their time because they just anybody's going to ask because there's no harm in asking, but they have very specific targets about the stage of the company, the maturity of the company, the maturity of the product, and so forth, as I already said. So no, not everybody in Inception gets access to the NVIDIA capital arms. In fact, it's a very, very small percentage because we're maybe passing over a few per month, but we have hundreds of companies join every month. So really, it's more about fit than it is about any sort of like automatic referral.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Okay, that's fabulous. Okay, does anybody have any questions at this point? No? Okay. I mean, Damon, you have done a like fabulous job explaining all the details, so I guess that's why that's the case. But we have access to the presentation that you shared, right? So
Yes,
any
yes, it's not
questions?
confidential, so you're welcome
Yeah.
to take a look at that. I actually, Sujin, if you want, I can send you it's not really an updated deck, but I moved a few
Uh-huh.
slides around so that they fit in the flow better. I can
Hmm.
send you the latest PDF if you'd like
That'd be
to
great.
share, so that you have everything exactly as I shared it. And of course, there's a recording available here too, which maybe is available to folks that have joined. But yeah, I've seen people already connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to have more connections and talk
Yeah.
to folks that way.
Mhm.
But yeah, all this information is available to you. I saw a
Uh,
couple of chats come through. Was there a question?
it was more of
We
a
are ineligible for the program. Okay.
oh,
Recently joined Connect. Okay,
so is
perfect.
it
Great.
10, is 10 years like an absolute like cutoff?
Yeah, it's a pretty solid cutoff. There's
Uh-huh.
there's pretty rare exception that we accept somebody
Uh-huh.
after 10 years. Quite
Uh-huh.
honestly, it's usually a mistake that we just didn't notice that they were older than 10 years,
Uh-huh.
or there was sort of a misunderstanding in like when the corporation date was.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's a pretty hard cutoff that at 10 years. Now that said, if you're at 9 years, can you join and take advantage for at least the 1 year? Yeah, absolutely. You can join. We have companies join that are 8, 9 years old. And then when they reach 10 years, we transition them to the Connect program. So you
Okay.
don't really, again, you don't really lose anything.
Uh-huh.
Connect is basically Inception for companies that are more than 10 years old. A
Mm.
lot of the benefits are the same. There's a little bit of differences, but for the most part, it's a pretty similar set of benefits. You still get connected to a DevRel, you can get connected to product and get support, and so on. So absolutely, if you are eligible for Inception, please join. If you're not, but you're a better fit for Connect, join there. Either way, it's great.
So the
What is a
connect.
program that does accepting consulting organizations? So we have something called the NVIDIA Partner Network, and that's what I would recommend you check out just to learn about it because, quite frankly, uh, they are invite only now. They
Mm.
actually shut down. So we used to allow anybody to apply, and then again, as NVIDIA's popularity grew, they started getting more applications than they could handle, could process, and more partners than, quite frankly, NVIDIA could vet. So they are invitation only now. So you'll want to get connected with somebody at NVIDIA and have them be able to essentially vouch for you in order to get into NPN. There's there's sort of a subset of an NPN, and I think you can find it through the main NPN and get, again, NVIDIA Partner Network. I think you can find through there. There's a page that's like consulting firms. And so you'll want to go check that out. That's a good place to start. Again, I don't remember that URL off the top of my head. I can share it with you, Sujin, if I
Yeah.
chase it down. I can share that link with you to share
Okay.
with the community here. But that's what I would recommend to go after to look for consulting opportunities. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on the consulting front. That's the main one that comes to mind.
Okay. So if you're older than 10 years, you can apply for a NVIDIA Connect program and then get the same
Correct.
benefits, right? Okay.
Yep.
That's
Yep. Exactly.
fabulous. Okay,
Yep.
great. Will we have any questions this morning? Okay. All right. If not, thank you so much for getting up at 5:30 a.m.
My
to
pleasure.
be with us. I really, really appreciate it. And I think, there will be a lot that we can do together in this community. So we're very excited and thank you again for everything. Yeah, and thank you for the great presentation,
You're
everybody
very welcome.
here.
Thanks for the questions and look forward to getting a bunch of applications and working with a bunch of startups.
Definitely. You'll get a bunch of coming through Korea from now on. So,
Okay. Awesome.
okay,
Thanks so much for
great.
the invitation.
Yeah, thank you so much. And this will be on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
It will be uploaded and so you can use it later if you need to. And also, it's climate week here in New York. It's crazy congested. It's crazy busy, but a lot of good things are going on. And also, yeah, so it will be great to see you if you are in climate week anywhere. Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
sure.
Thank you so much, and everybody have a wonderful evening and wonderful day, and then look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks. Okay, thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, bye, Damon. Thank you, bye.